This is problem 8.22 from the textbook Hibbeler's Mechanics of Material, the one that we've seen in the lectures. And the problem says like this. So the bearing pin supports a load of 3.5 kilonewtons. So this is a bearing and this is the pin. Yeah. And we have here that it tells now determine the stress components in the support member at point A, which as I have marked here also in this helper. So the support is 12 millimeter thick, which means that it's kind of how thick it is if I measure it going, in the direction of the screen. Yeah? Thick, like that, yes, definitely. Okay, so we need to be careful. So I'm going to call that the support of the base is going to be, I should invert this. Yes, because this can create a little bit of confusion when looking at things, which this is going to end up being my height. This is the other way around. So I'm going to call this, let me just put here, the other way around. So this is 12, and you're going to see why. B equals 12 millimeters, and then H equals to 18 millimeters. Yeah, I just noticed it, kind of the way to interpret it. So, okay. So what's the next step? So now we have that. We need to, well, I also added a few, let's say, also helpers, let's call it, where we have these D1, D2, alpha, and D3, which are coming from the figure here, D1, D2, alpha, and D3. Right? So perfect. Let's then draw a free body diagram of the whole, let's say, group of things just cut in AB, that section there. So I'm going to try to draw it like this, as clean as possible. I'm going to have it like, just move it a little bit because I just want it to be kind of oriented similarly to the something like this and something like this. This comes down here, this comes down here, something like this. It's a little bit ugly, but it works like this. And then we have the pin, which I'm going to use a different color here. Then we have this is the point of application of the force, like in this part here, P equal to 3.5 kilonewtons. And here is my cut, AB. I'm going to put some center lines here, kind of to something like this. This is a center line. This is another center line. Now you're going to see why I need these center lines here, kind of in a bit. And this is the line of application of my force. So let's put it straight like this. Yeah, beautiful. Then the forces that I'm going to have here are going to be the normal force, like this. Here it is, normal force. We're going to have the shear force, like this. Then we're going to have a moment applied here, M. This is V. A bit together, but let me just separate them. No, like this. So that is static, it's not moving anywhere, so we need to take the equilibrium conditions, apply the equilibrium equations to that free body diagram we have just drawn there, and that's going to help because that force P is going to generate the moment, normal, the shear force at the cut. And it's going to generate because the joint between the cut and the other part that we remove from the cut, is a fixed rigid joint, so we need to have those three conditions there. So normal, shear, and moment. Awesome, let's do it. So let's do the equilibrium conditions here. Or let's calculate internal load calculation. Let's do it like this. And I'm going to use the solver. And then the first one I'm going to do is the sum of moments around the center of the section, the cut section. So that is here. I'm going to call this O. O. So for this case, I'm going to write that equation, and sum of moments with respect to O equal to 0. There it is. Nice. So then what is going to create a moment around this point? So this force, I need to estimate or calculate the distance between the line of application of the force and this point here. So that distance is going to be, if I use the known distances that are given in the problem, it's going to be this distance here, which is this D1. And then I need to subtract this distance here, kind of created by this inclined member. So which is basically this 50 times, so this is, how much is this? This is 30. So it's going to be 50 times the sine of 30. So indefinitely. I'm going to put this one here. So this is going to be D1 here, and D1 is 32 millimeters. And this distance from here to here, which just let me remove this momentarily so I can have space with really smaller. From here to here is going to be that 50 millimeters times the sine of 30 degrees. This is a 30. Yeah? So that's what's going to happen there. No, well, no, this is the left, sorry. This is the leftover distance, let's call it like that. I'm going to have is this one here to here, sorry, kind of misposition things. And let me just remove all of this. And this is the one. So this is, and let me just put it smaller, the 3 sine of alpha. Here it is. Yeah, can be seen. And this is the distance for moment. Calculation. Here it is. So 32 minus the other one. So let's do it. Nope, a little bit less. So we're going to have here that the moment m, which is positive, the moment at the cut, minus p times the difference in distances between this one and this one's times the sine of this angle here. Yeah, that's equal to 0. And it's giving me 24.5 kilonewtons millimeters. Can I change that maybe to newtons per meter? No, sometimes it's just not letting me. Let me see if I can. This one here. Ah, okay, now I got it. Awesome. This is kind of better represented. Now I can calculate the sum of forces according to a system aligned with V and N. What do I mean by that? So I can just fix a coordinate system like such that one axis is like this and the other axis is like this. And this is going to be my x-axis and this is going to be my y-axis. Yeah? Which means that the only force I'm going to have to change is going to be this one. Yeah. So to align it with the x-axis of my new system. And this is going to be an angle similar to the one that I have in the top, which is alpha, equal to 30 degrees. There it is. So I can write down my equations, equilibrium in the y-axis, for example. And I can just steal this one and change it like this. Say, repurposed it. So then I'm going to have that the shear force minus P times, and that component there is the sine of the angle. And that's equal to 0. There it is. Similarly, I can do that for the x-axis of my reference system, which is this one here. And that's going to be then the normal minus that component going, well, would be like this component going down, and that's the cosine, P times the cosine of the angle 30 degrees. And that's equal to 0. There it is. I already have the 3 components. Then I can form my equations to get how much are the stresses. So stress calculation at point A. We just give it like this, and then just 2 steps here in this problem. So I'm going to have first the normal stress, and the normal stress is going to be, let me just write down the equation. It's going to be normal stress at A. It's going to be equal to the normal stress produced by the normal force, which is going to be N divided by A, plus the normal stress produced by the bending moment. And the bending moment is going to be M times C. We're going to define what was C divided by the product moment of inertia of that part there. I don't know why it comes like small a, like this. So which means if I want to know that stress, I need to calculate those section properties, which are the area and the moment of inertia. So let me just put here section properties. Then let me put it just like this. So the area is going to be simple, is this times this. And then the moment of inertia is going to be 1 divided by 12 because it's a rectangular section. And then this is where it comes from. When I see the whole thing from this perspective, like this, the section, this is going to be this axis here. This is going to be that axis there. So meaning that for the purpose of the moment of inertia calculation, this is going to be the base and this is going to be the height. So we have here times the base, and we said that the base is going to be this one. That's why I changed it at the beginning, times the height to the power of 3. And C is going to be the distance from here to here. And that distance from there to there is this half of this distance here. So we can come here and say, well, you know that C is going to be equal to the height divided by 2. Then I'm going to copy this one. What I got there. Okay, let's understand something here, but first let me change it to megapascals. So we need to be careful with this. So when I am the moment, this is the moment, let's say, direction. And the moment direction dictates that this section here is going to be in compression, and or this part of the support is going to be in tension. Yeah? So tension, and this part here, compression. So the normal force is going to produce, actually we should draw that here. So this is the points, kind of the normal force distribution. Let me put it like this, and then this is a cut, A and B. So the normal force produced by, sorry, the normal stress produced by the normal force is going to create something like this, where all of these are kind of pulling away. And normal force produced by the bending moment is going to be something like this. Let me try to move it. No. No. Actually, yeah, it's kind of, I'm working in the, so it's going to be something like this. Just let me put it larger, like this, like this. And I just trying to figure out what's the best way to do it without breaking this thing. Just let me remove this because this is not correct. I need that, actually I need is this line here, which is the line like this, and like this. Yeah, that's better. So you see that this is going to be in tension here, and this is going to be in compression. Yeah, this is the neutral axis. So this is tension, like this, and this is compression. Yeah, like this. So which means that for point A, the normal stress produced by the normal force is going to be against the normal stress produced by the bending moment. So I need to change this formula, say, you know what, this is not true because we need to have this one here. So in reality, what's going to happen there is that we're going to have a normal stress in compression at point A, which makes sense with the whole thing. Now, what happens with the shear force, shear stress? And I could do this better and say, this is for normal stress, and put it in like this. And then for shear stress, I'm going to put it like this. Shear stress for this case, it's going to happen that shear stress at A, remember that the shear stress depends on the position along the height of the figure, which means the position along this axis here. And the center is going to be, for this case, is going to be the maximum shear stress, but as I am going far away from the center to the end of the member, of the body, of the section there, then the shear stress is going to be 0. Because, you know, the formula for shear stress is like, you know, tau equals to Q V divided by, and this is I and T, where Q is the first moment of area, but as we are in the end of it, there is not such first moment of area. And if there is not such first moment of area, this is 0. So that's why we have 0 at the end, at the outer parts. So I can say here right away this much. And I can fix a little bit this to say that, just to put it like this, because I would like to highlight this. Say, you know what, this is 0, like this. Oh, I have a lot of things here. And then this one here. There it is. Then this one and this one are like this. And there is the solution. So for this case, there is normal force, but there is no shear force. At this, it's not that there is no shear stress in the section, it's that there are no shear stresses at that point A, which if you kind of extrapolate it to the point B, it's going to be the same. You're not going to have any shear stresses at point B. So this is the end of the problem. And this is kind of the solution for it. It's very simple. So we defined some properties. We took a look at the geometry, how things go. Then we did the cut at the section where they're asking us. With the cut, we could draw a free body diagram. We applied equilibrium conditions to that free body diagram. And then after getting the values of the reactions at the cut, we could calculate the stresses there, with the important note that we had to understand that the normal stress produced by the stress force is against the normal stress produced by the bending moment. So that's why we had to subtract them in the formula apart there. And that is it. See you in the next problem.